Welcome back to the Goonerverse, everyone. We've got some sort of breaking news because it came out about a couple hours ago, actually, that Mikel Merino's got an injury, and we think it's a serious one. We know he's going to require surgery on his foot, and when I say serious, I mean that obviously sounds serious, but we don't know whether this is 2-3 months out. Sometimes even a broken bone, a metatarsal injury can be 2 to 3 months. But I mean, we're in February now. There's probably only about 4 months left of the season, as Arteta famously said earlier this week about how we want to play these final 4 months. And I think we'll do well to see Mikel Merino on the pitch at any other point in this campaign. Now, the news has been followed up quite considerably, I'd say, has been followed up quite considerably with journalists like Alex Crook, like David Ornstein, and others saying Arsenal are going to explore the market on deadline day, which of course is tomorrow, and see if they can bring in a replacement, someone in the short term that can play a part in the squad. And I think it's really important we talk about why Arsenal want to do this, because I think Arsenal's squad is starting to look a little thin again. Having been in a position where everyone was fit and available, Arsenal squad could be in a little bit more trouble after just one weekend of Premier League action. Look, and the funny thing is, no one even got injured in the game. Bukayo Saka with a hip injury before. Mikel Merino looks like he got, sorry, Saka was before the game, right? It was in the warm up. With Mikel Merino, we're talking about an injury that clearly happened before even traveling to Leeds, so maybe something happened in training. We know that Waneri's not there, and I wanted to pick this a little bit more. I want to actually show why it's making the squad look a little thinner and see how Arsenal could look to address it. Obviously, we'll go into that in more detail. It's been a good weekend. I mean, Villa lost. City as good as lost. I mean, I know they took a point at Tottenham, but from 2-0 up against the Spurs side, are utterly depleted because, I mean, we can't complain about injuries, right? When you look at Spurs and some other teams, but Spurs in particular, they have been absolutely torn apart by injury. So even as Arsenal fans, I think we've got to give them credit for pulling it back against City. They won't be happy they did us any favours. And even regardless of the context around that, they did well, to be fair. So, from that perspective, we're not kind of savaged by injuries right now, but I worry that one or two more, and actually the situation could look a bit darker for Arsenal. So I'm not completely surprised that we're looking to see if there's a short-term option that we can approach on deadline day. It's so funny because I got to deadline day or the eve of it, and I barely noticed the transfer window. I don't think anything of real notes happened in this window. I mean, Gehi moved to Man City, cool. I know. So, okay, Gehi and Semenyo, they all wrapped up in the first 2 weeks though, and I didn't really see them as kind of like mega deals in the way I saw Aubameyang going to Arsenal, in the way I saw Luis Suarez and Andy Carroll and Torres, all that. It didn't feel like a mega window from that perspective. Even though Trossard and Guehi are great players, even surprised when Arsenal were active a few years back with Kivior and Trossard and Jorginho. That kind of surprised a lot of people. Jorginho is an example of the type of signing I think Arsenal might look to do. Basically, is there someone out there we can pick up quite cheaply and go, yeah, you know what? Actually, you can do a job and you'd be a good help just till the end of the season, whether it's a loan or something more permanent. Some of you in the comments are mentioning Goretzka. I'm going to go into the comments a little bit, but I just want to talk through what we know. But anyway, January been quite dead up until essentially this injury from an Arsenal perspective anyway, in which we've suddenly gone, oh, we've gone from basically, don't ruin the squad, and I think we're all pretty happy. Even the Waneri one we stomached, though I don't think a lot of us loved the idea of him not being a part of the squad. Now that's looking like it might have aged a bit badly. And we're going to deadline day with suddenly, potentially needing a player to come in. This was the news from David Ornstein. He said Arsenal midfielder Mikel Merino expected to miss considerable period with suspected broken bone in this foot. Arsenal surveying the market for a potential loan as a short-term cover for the 29-year-old Spanish international. No guarantee that anything materialises before the deadline. Yeah, and he's right to say that, because how can there be a guarantee? But it's interesting that he's put that in. Alex Crook and David Ornstein have both come out and said Arsenal are trying. Now, you can read this in a few ways. You can read this as what it is, which is good reporting. Arsenal, let me just get the comments in front of me quickly. Arsenal are simply looking, there's an injury there, and they're just being smart to see if there's a short-term option, but there probably won't be, and you kind of keep it moving, right? It could just be good reporting. That's kind of the obvious. It could be that Arsenal have reported, quite publicly, it seems, via journalists or whatever. And I'm not saying David Ornstein and any of these journalists get their information because it's simply fed to them by Arsenal. But I think when a few journalists have the same story, it suggests that there's a stance that Arsenal have. And that stance might be that they're actually maybe going to try quite aggressively to see if there's something that they can do. When I say that, they are really going to look to see if they can do something. This isn't just what pops up on the final day. There might actually be a real active effort to go and get someone, and there might be a confidence that they can do a deal. Imagine Arsenal and the scouting department, Andrea Berta, whose job is literally to be ready to sign players and to add and take away from the squad, in these particular moments and months. It could be that they've got a list of players, like some have mentioned, Ruben Neves, for example. Is that a player that actually they've kind of had lined up for a little while? Someone like Douglas Luiz that Arsenal have liked for a little while, obviously went to Villa. But that kind of signing that they just go, you know what, just do it. Just do it to get an extra body in, because at the moment we're a little bit short. I don't know. It'd be really, really interesting to see how Arsenal approach deadline day. I hate to pour cold water on it so early. I actually don't think we're going to sign anyone. I think if this had happened 2, 3 days ago, I think we might have. But I think pulling something out the bag this late would be pretty extraordinary. But I mean, Andrea Berta is the guy with the contacts. He's the guy who knows how to, keep the money moving and get deals done. So maybe he's got some players ready. Let's see. But I want to talk about why there's a need, and I will go into the comments, everyone. Big thank you for joining us, and yeah, 800 of you watching. Please hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. But this is why we've got it here. This is why I really wanted to talk about this. This is the Arsenal squad with everyone fit and available. No one going out on loan. This was how we started the season, and it's a pretty great squad, to be fair. Now, over time, Havertz and Jesus have become fit and available. That wasn't the case for most of the campaign. Some defenders have come back. There's been a little bit of chop and change, essentially. But let's just remove Merino for a sec because of his injury. Then we remove Waneri because of the loan. Let's remove Max Dowman because of the injuries too. Congrats on the new deal, Max. And then I'm going to go one further and replace Bukayo Saka, actually. I'll go two further. Bukayo Saka, because we don't know how long this hip injury is going to bother him for. Hopefully it's nothing serious. Hopefully he's back quite quickly, but we know he has just picked up an injury. So let's just highlight these three. Currently injured or on loan. Max Dowman, we believe still injured. I think he is anyway. And then you can remove Kai Havertz. Now, Kai Havertz, I know started the day, but there are rumours and reports that there is a longer term issue with Kai Havertz that Arsenal are having to manage. So how reliable he is in terms of, or how much you can rely on him in terms of his fitness is a fair question. But even if he kind of remains totally fit and available, which is very possible, he's played 1 month of football in a whole year. I imagine there's going to be setbacks. I imagine there's going to be moments where he might need a week or two out of the team. And I have no idea. I could be speculating. Some of you might say, James, you're just saying that to kind of make more of a point here. No, genuinely, I think, with basically those three, you can't rely on them because Dowman is 16, and that wouldn't be fair in a title run-in. When Aries on loan, Merino probably out for the season. And these two, uncertainty around their injuries. What we know right now is that Arsenal essentially have these players here. These are the players right now that we're looking at as our forwards. And I have to say, this is as of today. We don't know for Chelsea what the squad's looking like. We don't know about other details. But it's a touch uninspiring going forward, if I'm really, really honest. Madueke, Martinelli, Trossard, who I think all at best have had purple patches and moments. I don't think any have really ever cemented themselves as the guy on the wing. Eze's not in great form, nor Erdegaard. Jesus and Gyökeres are trading blows with the odd goal, the odd moment, but both of them inconsistent with their starts and their performances. So you're kind of looking at like these two. the only two that we're kind of genuinely happy with right now in terms of how they're playing. And that's why I think Arsenal might well need to go and get another player in just to add a bit more squad depth so we can make sure we can manage the minutes of those two, who are about the only two we genuinely want to get on the pitch week in, week out. So do you see where I'm going with this? Like yeah, for people asking, the window shuts 7 p.m. tomorrow, so Monday, 2nd of Feb. It begs the question, doesn't it? How do Arsenal address this? How do Arsenal address this? And I agree with this comment that's just come in. Why did Arteta let Ethan go on loan? I wasn't a fan of it. Like, I really wasn't a fan of it, if I'm honest. And I said that. I said that in my video. I just thought, I'm not sure I get it. Everyone, like the Arsenal fans were really quite euphoric about it. Great that you get to, you get to go play under De Zerbi, and you're going to play for a good side in Marseille where Saliba developed. You're going to come back a better player. And I thought, okay, that's all great. That's all true, but we need to win the title. And I think we need players like him who can make things happen. Yeah, sorry. Pop-up bang, I think, giving me a bit of grief. James, give over. You're being a worrywart. Come on, you Gunners. We've got this, James. Trust the process. Look, I'm not saying I'm stressing. I'm just saying that, I think there's a good chance Arsenal are really going to try and bring someone in. Has De Zerbi got the sack, or was he just threatening to leave? Because I think he stayed. So here's essentially where we are, right? This is the squad. You can address this in a few ways, right? If you're planning, if you're future proofing for the rest of the season, you could do this in a few ways, okay? You can basically say you got your eights, your right eights, your left eights, and with Merino out, you can say we got Kai. Right? You could do that. Then you can do Jesus and Gyökeres as your two strikers, Martinelli and Trossard as your two wingers. Maybe Saka's injury is nothing serious. And boom. There you go. We're just putting everyone in pairings, right? So those are your pairings. That's one way you could do it. That's one way you could look at it. Even with these three, Dalman, potentially out injured, also not a player you can rely on. Winery out on loan, Merino potentially out to the season. You could genuinely say that's fine. We've got two players for every position, right? Like that is something you could genuinely argue for Arsenal. And so if they do nothing between now and the end of the, between now and deadline day, you couldn't really begrudge them that too much. Like, you can't really be angry and go, "Oh my god, you've left yourself so short. There's not enough players. The squad's in big trouble." That's still a really deep squad, and maybe when Marino does come back for the last month, and Dalman, comes back for, and plays more of a part than we expect. There's a few things you could do. You could also, however, basically keep Kai Havertz as a striker/10 option. Use Lewis Skelly as more of a midfielder. Moving Capier to left back, because let's face it, I mean, that's basically where he's playing with Calafiori. And Arsenal could sign, we'll just call him centre back. Let's give him number 18 just for the sake of it. You could sign a centre back, which Arsenal have looked at with Real Madrid's youngster Valdepeñas, who could come in. So that's one way of addressing it. You simply move Lewis Skelly into midfield as an option. Hincapié and Calafiori are left backs, and you go sign a young centre back. So I think Arsenal might be looking at that too. I don't think Arsenal are locked in with basically sign a Neves, and I don't know where this Goretzka stuff came from. I don't know. I literally know nothing about whether he's a free agent right now, or whatever's going on. I don't know why a lot of people are saying that. But yeah, that could be one way Arsenal address it. There's a few things. There's a few things Arsenal could do. And as I mentioned, you could move Kai Havertz into midfield, Lewis Skelly to left back, and Capier's cover at left centre back, and everything's fine. You've basically got two players for each position. So it'll be really interesting to see what Arsenal do. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I have this. It's just a feeling. It's a really sneaky feeling. Something tells me that because of the nature of the reporting, you know, Talk Sports, Alex Crook, David Ornstein of The Athletic, because they've kind of come in and in that first tweet, it's not like they just kind of wrote it into the article. And it's the little things, right? It's not like they both kind of did their articles, did their reporting, and said, yeah, naturally, Arsenal will scour the market, see what's available, but I think it'll be tough with a day to go. That's the kind of reporting we're used to. In fact, what we got was Arsenal, there's no guarantee, but Arsenal are scouring the market. Arsenal are going to see what's doable. And we must have known of this injury maybe 2 days ago minimum because, he's already had a scan on it, which doesn't look good. He wasn't in the lead squad, so we knew clearly about it yesterday at least, which means which means this injury could have happened on Friday or Thursday. And actually, Merino, I mean, he had the yellow card, didn't he? So he couldn't play in midweek anyway. But you wonder whether it happened even earlier. So again, could all this be suggesting that Arsenal are ahead with it? I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm not trying to give people false hope of a signing. I'm just trying to explore all options. Just trying to explore every single options. Okay. Let's go through your super chats and your comments. What's the latest on Alvarez? Says Fabel. Nothing. I mean, we'll see in the summer if we try to. Let's see. Fratesi was close to joining Forest, but it fell through. Can be a good squad player. Merino replacement, Serie A winner, the Taxel shirt. I didn't know that. Yeah, Fratesi scored the winner for Inter that sent them to the final. Decent age. Italian international certainly was not long ago. Yeah, yeah, that's a deal you could do. That's a deal you could do if it's true that he was close to joining Forest. Then maybe that's one that could happen. To succeed, we must drop Erdegaard. I want trophies, says Ranbir. And sorry, the one before that was by 13 killings as well. Well, you got your wish. You got dropped and Arsenal won. Marcus says, for me, Neves, Goretzka, or Hulmland. Yeah, Hulmland or Hulmland. Anyway, yeah, I know he's good from Football Manager. That's kind of my knowledge of Hulmand. Let's go through some of your other comments. And we've discussed some things like play Lewis Kelly midfield, certainly an option. A lot of you are suggesting, they've got a feeling it's going to be Goretzka. Not going to lie, I don't know that much about Ayub Boadi and how he could work, but I feel like Boadi would be a really good signing. Yeah, he'd be like a 6/8 as well. If this, Boadi's an example of a potential summer signing that they feel they could bring forward. That's kind of what they did with Nketiah. They just brought that deal forward, didn't they? Essentially because Kivior left, they went and committed a bit of next season's budget to, this season by going and getting Nketiah on a loan with an option that essentially Leverkusen can trigger it. It doesn't need to be us who triggers it. Also, by the way, a lot of people are writing off Nketiah. I think Nketiah is having a actually very solid start to life at Arsenal. But people wrote off Calafiori, and now everyone's desperate for Calafiori to be back. So give these players time, Some people saying Joe Linton, Loftus-Cheek, Xhaka on loan. Imagine bringing back Granit Xhaka. Rabiot. I mean, lots of players. Bruno Fernandes, man. Imagine. Lots of names being thrown around. I'll just have a quick look online now, but I can't see anything that suggests there's nothing kind of brewing at the moment. I can't see anything online. I can't see anything online. Someone put in the comments that Liverpool are going for Xhaka. Is that true? Sam C, who's very reliable, has said, let's see if Arsenal can get a signing over the line tomorrow. Again, why? Why is he saying this? Maybe because he's just wondering. But I can't help but feel that a lot of people suggest that the way it's being talked about by reporters I trust, it's with an air of like Arsenal are trying. Is that true about Xhaka? Let's see what's being said to Liverpool, because I did think Liverpool needed to go sign a centre-back. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Fabrizio Romano. Let's share this. This is big. Jeremy Jacquet to Liverpool. Here we go. Deal agreed now for June of 2026. I mean, they need him now, but to be fair, they probably see it as one where, Liverpool aren't going for what they wanted to go for this season, and they've probably got enough to get over the line in terms of, the Champions League football. But they're going for the Champions League too. Anyway, 60 million, so 70 million euros. What's that? 67 million pounds? Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big signing, that. Oh, fair play. Fair play to Liverpool. That's a good deal. It's a big deal. What do you all think, people? Just hit me with the yes and no's. Hit me with the yes and no's in the chat. Do you think Arsenal are going to sign a player on deadline day tomorrow? Do you think Arsenal are going to go and get it done? Just hit me with the yes and no. Or yes or no. Some people have said. Some people have said yes and no. That doesn't help. Nor does maybe. Yes, no, yes, no, no, yes, no, yes. Interesting. I'd say most people are saying no, they won't. But there's a few people who think, yeah, Arsenal will pull something off. Obviously, we'll keep you covered here on Goonerverse News and here on the Goonerverse with live streams if something happens. Man, I'd love it if we signed Adam Wharton. Really, yeah, I don't know how to run polls. I really need to learn how to. But I doubt it, but it's possible. Yeah, okay. And so I'll ask you this final question then. Thank you all for your comments. I'll ask you this final question then. See this squad here? Let's remove everyone. Let's go with what we know. Let's go with this. Right. This Arsenal squad. You know what we're going to do? Make it all a little bit bigger for you all. Right, boom. That Arsenal squad. Are you happy with it? If this is what we've got between now and the end of the season, do you know what? And I think it's probably only fair you include Dalman because, he will be fit at some point this year. This is it. The cavalry. This is the group. No Waneri, no Merino. We've lost both of them for different reasons. If this is the group between now and May for what's left of this season, are you happy? Yes or no? Are you happy with that group? Has it got enough? And I think actually there's two different questions there, really. Because I would say, yes, it's definitely got enough. I'm not worried about that. It's got enough. But am I happy with it? Is almost a different question. And the answer is not really, because I never really wanted to let Waneri go in the first place. And now Marino's got injured. Saka, we don't know the extent of it. So I feel like we're 2-3 quite key match-winning players down. Saka is a match-winning player. Waneri is a moment's goal from nothing player. Merino is probably the most clutch player in the team alongside Leandro Trossard. So from that perspective, I feel like we've lost a lot in front of goal by losing those three, or at least two of them. So my expectations of what Arsenal are capable of doesn't change with this group, but I would feel shortchanged considering what we had earlier this campaign, is probably what I'd say. Can we actually end the Waneri loan, though? I don't think we can. There must be particular context. And yeah, you lot need to stop disrespecting Saka. He is a match winner. This season, he struggled in terms of output, but he absolutely is a match winner. Do not disrespect Bukayo. Okay, we'll leave it there, everyone. That's the Merino news. Broken foot, surgery. Hope he's okay. Well, he won't be feeling okay, but I wish him all the best. Hope he can recover quickly. And Arsenal are going to be active in the market, according to David Ornstein, Alex Crook, and many others. Let's see. I don't know. I can't shake this feeling that tomorrow's going to be an active one. I don't know what I'm basing that on. Let's see. Big thanks, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the stream. My reaction to yesterday's win is out on the channel. My player ratings out on this channel. And my reaction to City and Villa dropping points again is out on Goonerverse News. Go check that out. Big thanks. Hit the like button. Oh, I think I missed some super chats. Sorry, very quick. Yeah, I did. Sorry. Thank you for sending them in. Do we miss Waneri now? Would be an extra midfielder? Yes, I think we do. Keep the powder dry. Don't sign anyone. Short-term loan, I think we can. Loose to midfield, maybe a left back with Call's injuries. Yeah, that's another thing. Call's injuries. All right. Big thank you for your super chats, people. I really appreciate it. And I'll catch you all very soon.